Today, we're diving into a business idea that sounds, well, completely insane. It's called the Lighthouse Strategy, and the whole playbook is built on one core idea that sometimes the absolute smartest thing a company can do is to lose millions or even billions of dollars on purpose. How on earth does that make any sense? Well, let's get into it. I mean, it's a real head scratcher, isn't it? We're all taught that big business is just ruthlessly focused on the bottom line, on profit, profit, profit. So why in the world would these massive companies, we're talking giants like Alphabet, Mercedes-Benz, even the biggest fashion houses, just pour billions into projects they know are designed to lose money? Well, the answer isn't about making a quick buck. It's way deeper than that. This isn't some kind of accounting error or a massive oversight. Nope. It's a very deliberate, very powerful strategy that's playing out way beneath the surface, far away from just selling stuff day to day. So let's start by unpacking this billion-dollar puzzle. I think first, we really need to get a feel for just how big and, frankly, how weird this whole thing is. Okay, so the poster child for this today has got to be Alphabet, Google's parent company. They have this division they call Other Bets, and it's got stuff like Waymo, their self-driving car company. And get this, it loses billions. Not once, but consistently year after year. And yet, Alphabet just keeps writing the checks. So the big question is, why? And listen, this isn't just some weird Silicon Valley thing. It's everywhere when you start looking for it. Just think about it for a second. You see those luxury car brands? They build these absolutely mind-blowing concept cars that you know will never, ever be for sale. Or high fashion? They create these wild, handmade dresses that are more like sculptures than something anyone could actually wear. And if you go back in time, the big industrial titans built these ridiculously grand, super expensive headquarters. The one thing they all have in common, none of them were designed to make money on their own. All right, so all these different examples, from cars to couture to corporate HQs, they might seem totally random, but they're not. They all point to one single elegant solution to this puzzle, and that is what we're calling the Lighthouse Strategy. So what is it? A lighthouse project is exactly what it sounds like. It's this super visible, super prestigious part of the company that, and this is the key, isn't supposed to make a profit. Its real job is to be a beacon, to shine a massive, bright light that guides three really important things toward the whole company: public attention, the best talent out there, and of course, a ton of investment capital. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just R&D? And that's a great question, but it's a crucial distinction. Standard R&D is usually kept under wraps. It's internal. It's all about making the core products better, like building a slightly more efficient engine for a family sedan. A lighthouse, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's all about being seen. Think about Waymo's self-driving cars on the street. Its purpose is to be out there, in public, shaping what you, me, and big-shot investors think about the entire company. Okay, so if it's not about profit, what's the point? What's the actual ROI on spending billions of dollars? Well, this strategy is all about four massive strategic payoffs that have nothing to do with direct sales. All right, let's break them down. First up, it pulls in capital. When investors see a company making these huge futuristic bets, it signals that this is a long-term winner, which helps justify a high stock price. Second, it's a magnet for talent. Seriously, the best engineers and designers in the world, they don't want to just make tiny improvements to an old product. They want to work on the cool, cutting-edge stuff. Third, it actually sets the standards for the entire industry. You basically get to define what the future looks like, and all your competitors have to scramble to keep up. And last but not least, you get this amazing halo effect. All that shiny, innovative, prestigious feeling from the Lighthouse project, it kind of rubs off on everything else the company sells, even the boring stuff. Okay, that's the theory. But let's see how these lighthouses actually work in the real world. These next couple of examples are just perfect illustrations. Let's start with high fashion. You've seen those hot couture runway shows, right? The dresses are basically priceless. They're all handmade, and the shows themselves lose a ton of money. That's the Lighthouse. Its entire job is to create this incredible fantasy of pure, unattainable luxury. So where's the money? Well, the core business then sells millions of bottles of perfume and handbags to the rest of us. We're buying a tiny, affordable piece of that big, expensive dream the Lighthouse just created. And it's the exact same game in the luxury car world. You take a flagship car, like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. That thing is the lighthouse. It's packed with every single piece of cutting-edge tech and engineering the company can dream up. It's a statement. It showcases their dominance. And that reputation for engineering excellence is what allows them to sell their more affordable, high-volume cars like the C-Class at a premium. You're willing to pay more for the C-Class because in the back of your mind, you know it was built by the very same people who created that masterpiece S-Class. So this all sounds pretty smart, right? But, and this is a big but, this is an incredibly high-risk, high-stakes game. For every brilliant lighthouse, there's the potential for it to all go horribly, horribly wrong. You see, because these projects are so expensive and, crucially, so public, when they fail, it's not just a quiet miss on an internal spreadsheet. Oh no, it's a massive public faceplant. There are a few big ways this can blow up. First, there's just the opportunity cost. Think of all the money and brainpower that could have gone into the main, profitable business instead. Then there's the risk it just becomes a vanity project, completely disconnected from any real strategy, just an expensive hobby. Third, if you promise the moon and fail to deliver, you create this huge perception gap, and that absolutely crushes your reputation. And finally, if you have to pull the plug, shutting down a lighthouse is like sending up a giant flare that says, "We failed." And the absolute worst-case scenario? The lighthouse turns into a black hole. It just sits there, sucking in endless money, talent, and time without shining any of that strategic light back out. The company gets trapped, just pouring good money after bad, unable to admit defeat. So you might think with all these risks, companies would stop doing this, but they haven't. The Lighthouse strategy is alive and well. It's just changing with the times. It's really cool to see how this has evolved. 100 years ago, your lighthouse was a massive, grand headquarters building. Then, in the mid-20th century, it was all about engineering marvels, like those concept cars we talked about. By the turn of the century, it shifted to the digital world. AI labs, space tech, that kind of thing. And today, the hot new lighthouses are all about showing a commitment to ESG and sustainability. Think zero-emissions pilot plants. So yeah, it's pretty clear that today's most effective lighthouses are built on two things: showing you're a leader in foundational tech like AI, and proving you have a real commitment to ESG values. That's environmental, social, and governance. That's the combo that attracts modern capital and the brightest minds right now. And this quote right here just nails it. It really sums up the whole strategy. You sacrifice short-term profitability in a visible domain to secure long-term strategic advantage across the entire enterprise. It's a trade. You take a calculated public loss in one spot to win a much, much bigger game across the whole company in the long run. So that leaves us with one last thought. Now that you have this mental model, this lighthouse framework, look around. Look at the big companies making splashy announcements. Who do you think is building the next great lighthouse? Which of today's crazy, ambitious, money-losing projects is actually just a brilliant strategy, secretly shaping the world we're all going to be living in tomorrow?